The Rice and Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. Download their top-rated app. Use the promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of The Process. With you at processrealtor.com. By Nature Pet Food, slow cooked with Super Fusion. Get 20% off your first order with code CHEWY. No, with code RTRS20 at chewy.com. Go to chewy.com, use promo code RTRS20. The code CHEWY probably won't work. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Get it at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, Embiid versus Anthony Davis versus Nikola Jokic. How would you rank them? We bring in Tony T and Tommy from down the shore to announce the finalists for the Embiid ones. I'm just going to make pretend Rebel isn't barking in the background. Mike's most important quest in life. Further controversy about the sitting or standing. That includes a former Grantland employee. Billy Donovan is not going to be the coach, but they're apparently down to 2, even though they haven't made any changes in the front office. And oh, by the way, the rumor is also that they're calling around the league, willing to trade anybody if they hire D'Antoni. So it'll be a good show. That's it. You know what? We're just going to go. Oh, there's masks left. That's what I want to say. At Buddha Babe, we have like now 32 white ones, 35 black ones left. If you buy a mask, and we're out of the dog bandanas. If you buy a mask, one also gets donated to a child at a Philadelphia public school who is in need of one. So that's good. So go to buddhababe.us or just go to our website. You can find them right there. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who has the Twitter leadership in his crosshairs on his quest to be verified. That is Mike Levin.
It's time. All of these fake Mike Levins out there.
Yep. So
trying to pretend it's me. It should always have been me.
People would not believe how little we communicate not on the podcast, like during the week. It's always like, hey, what time, or hey, what about this guest? That's about it. So when I got a text from you the other night, I was very surprised that there was a text at all. And the text was very serious in that it is time for you to be Twitter verified.
It's time. Everybody else is friggin' people writing for the, whatever, Levittown Courier with like 11 followers. It's enough already. Well, I'm out here having to prove who I am all the time.
No one, Mike always holding up a newspaper of the current day. With
every single tweet.
There must have been one person that you saw that was verified that put you over the edge. Like, I need to know. I guess I just need to know. And I'm going to make it my mission to get you verified, even though they've made it. I did some digging, and they have made it more difficult, and they've verified fewer people. It's a more shadowy process than it was before. I need to know what was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I don't remember. It's a bunch of people. There's some newspaper that's like, I work for the Townsend Courier Herald, and I have 18 followers, and my name is like Cool Guy Dave.
What if they told you, yes, we will verify you, but your profile photo must be you and you alone?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. You would do that. Okay.
I would do that.
All right.
I don't think I would do It would be dumb. Like I couldn't do this like me smiling.
Yeah,
or like a headshot.
What if they were like, you got to go to Glamour Shots at the mall?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that my career, if I had been verified, my career would be better.
Really?
I'm believing. Yeah. I feel like people are like, oh, he's legit. I should be verified in 2 mediums. I should be double verified.
Wow. Well, you'd be
enough already.
Yeah, I can't get the Ricky verified on Instagram. I've tried numerous times.
Oh, you have?
I
didn't know that.
7,000?
I don't even need Instagram. That's fine. Yeah. Instagram, not much happening there.
Mm-hmm.
I am a formidable, trusted guy who should say stuff with an aura of authority, and I need it to lord over my friends and enemies.
What if you just get like the thing that like Doc Pearson had, like the 7 in the circle?
Yeah, I see a lot of people with that. That stuff. No, I won't be doing that.
You gotta have a real one. So I always start the pod off with the same thing, but I don't. You normally interrupt it, but I want you to like let me finish because we're going to go right into something that I think you would like. So before we get started, I would like to remind everyone that Scott O'Neil is still the CEO of the 76ers after overseeing Jerry Colangelo hiring his own son, Burnergate, team collaboration, and the like, and that there still has been no meaningful change in the front office, yet they are down to 2 coaching finalists somehow, even though they promised a deep dive into the front office over a month ago. An email came in from Quinn and from Sam. And Quinn writes, after mentioning the blog post from Scott O'Neil on today's podcast, I Googled it. And the blog posts are on LinkedIn, and they're called Be Where Your Feet Are. I also got a couple of messages from people. Please do not harass him on LinkedIn. Please don't do that. But after mentioning the blog post from Scott O'Neil on today's podcast, I Googled it, and it showed 2 things. Number 1, he is releasing a book in June of next year for some fucking reason. Number 2, he is described as beloved in the Google Books description. So, the book,
beloved.
The book, a self
beloved. Everyone's beloved.
Yeah,
they're really just throwing out beloved like anybody. Get it?
A self-help book.
How many people have to beloved you for you to be described as beloved?
Well, I think it's more about a percentage, and I think the percentage has to be 90%, right?
That's high. I don't know that anyone in the world is 90% beloved. I'd give them. It has to be the combination of.
Like there's got to be a score.
Awareness, because I would say 75% of Sixers fans don't know who Scott O'Neil is.
That's a good point. You're right.
And so of the people who know who he is, how many of them do you think add the word fucking before his name?
Right. Like a very high percentage. Too high to be beloved.
Exactly.
Right.
In fact, he's so not beloved. He's the opposite of beloved. He is really like, as far as what the opposite are, like the only people that know who he is that are a fan of this team are people who think he fucking sucks.
Right. Like, and I guess I would say, and this speaks to the same thing, how many people of those who know Scott O'Neil go, oh man, that guy's fucking great. He's great. But 2%, 3%, maybe people that have just met him in the venue.
I don't know.
He was nice.
I couldn't tell you. I don't want to speculate on that, how he is outside of this arena.
So the book.
But in the arena, as far as beloved CEO of the Sixers, he's not. He straight up isn't.
The title of the book, Be Where Your Feet Are, 7 Principles to Keep You Present, Grounded, and Thriving, is described as a self-help book. It is due in June of 2021.
Oh, my God.
From Scott O'Neil, the beloved CEO of the Phil 76ers, How to Find Regular, Meaningful Moments in an Irregular Life.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, we got to have a book signing event or something, right? I mean...
Sure. I have such a low tolerance for... like business speak and jargon and like terms and just like the idea that you could like any of it, mindfulness in dealing with your employees. Like, it's like, fuck you, you're an asshole. And this is all just like projecting yourself forward as like this beacon of like goodness. And it's just like, dude, you're straight up not. You sell fucking ads on jerseys and like, you know, look over people's shoulders as they're like doing work and say, not how I would do it. Or like,
that's a good point.
Getting mad at people for like, I don't know, coming in late or something. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does, but it's not good.
He's standing by the door by the, do you think he makes people clock in? He probably makes people clock in.
Oh yeah, but it's like a fun clock in.
Right. All right. Well, actually, it seems like a good transition, actually. So Billy Donovan signs with the Bulls.
Good for him.
And basically suggesting that he, as a Sixers candidate, was nonsense because he obviously left the OKC job knowing he would go to the Bulls. I mean, it seemed too quick otherwise.
Really?
Well,
that's a few weeks.
But he never even interviewed here. I mean,
I thought he did. I thought there was at least, I don't know.
No, I don't
Maybe
think
it was
so.
just like he's in the conversation over and over again. I thought he was at least named.
So a bunch of people report that it's down to Ty Lue, and I'm sure they talked to 75 people.
75.
It's down to Ty Lue and Mike D'Antoni with Kevin O'Connor and Keith Smith, he of the Disney prediction, saying that it was...
What was the Disney prediction?
Keith Smith was the guy that said Disney would work before anybody ever. Like he wrote a whole thing. Actually, it wasn't even, I don't even think he had like knowledge. He basically worked at Disney at one point, and he was like, here's why Disney would work, and wrote a whole thing on it. It's on Yahoo somewhere. I remember reading it and I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So he and KOC basically say that like D'Antoni is in the lead or whatever. And then Keith Smith reports that something to the effect of that the Sixers are like making it known that if they hire Mike D'Antoni, that they're like open to trading anybody. And that's the big story of the day. And
that's tough. And that's what you want. You want your coach to dictate.
Yes.
What the future of your personnel, your franchise.
Hiring a 75-year-old coach at probably his final stop.
I think he's 69.
Whatever he is. I said like 75. Here we go.
I wouldn't forget that.
Keith Smith says, starting to hear a lot of buzz that the Philadelphia 76ers are letting teams know that they are open to trade talks if they hire Mike D'Antoni to be their next head coach. Philadelphia realizes that current roster with all the bigs isn't built to be a successful D'Antoni team. So hire a coach and then trade the best players to fit the coach. That'll work. And obviously they have to be talking about trading the two big guys because they would obviously be open to trading everybody else on the fucking roster. So I don't know. Yeah.
That could still mean like we're willing to trade Josh. Like the Sixers seem like the kind of guy that would
not know that everybody would know that.
Yeah, and also be like your fantasy football team, and you're like making a trade, and you're like, okay, I'm willing to part with okay, Chris Hogan.
Yeah,
how about that? That's as far as I'm willing to go. It seems like there's like okay, bud.
I still would. Yeah, I'm still okay with hiring Mike D'Antoni, and I actually don't buy that they would need to be like a 7 seconds or less team for Mike D'Antoni to coach, unless you think he's an imbecile or something. I don't.
Right. I mean, we've said this before. We're not like coach guys. I think people that like purport to be coach guys are largely making it up or going with consensus. I think that there are positives and negatives you can take out of any coaching situation anywhere, and I've always thought that generally talent wins out. Like a good coach can get you. They're like most coaches in the league are at least like fine. And the most, there's a few very bad ones and then a few very good ones that can like really take you to the next level. I don't dislike D'Antoni at all.
No.
I would be interested to see what he could do with this roster or a better version of this roster. I'd be interested to see what he does for Tobias specifically as far as getting him to take a higher volume of threes and take them quicker. If Horford is here, same thing. Ben in the open court would be interested to see if that what that looks like under D'Antoni, and if he can be, everyone uses the term unlocked, as if there's some, secret inside the safe that everyone's just waiting to learn the code to.
Surround him with shooters.
Would love to see him as a screener and see what that's about. Love to see Embiid as a screener and see what that's about. I don't know. It'd be very interesting. I think certainly the Sixers, as they continue to dart from pole to pole of extremes, never building a holistic team, only doing the most extreme version of anything at any given time, would be interested to see what this team looks like under him. I hope that Embiid and Simmons are both on board with this. But again, like we are talking about a coaching hire before the team has made any change to their front office.
Well, they're letting the same people that did everything over the last few years, very little of which has turned out well, making the decision on the new coach. I thought it was funny. Like the Hawks, I don't know if you saw, hired Landry Fields as assistant GM. Mm-hmm. And that was the job that Elton Brand told us that he got offered before he took the Sixers GM job. And I thought to myself, oh, look, that's novel. Hiring a former player to be an assistant GM before you give him full power over everything. That makes sense. Learning the ropes a little bit. So
I just don't know what anyone's thinking. Like, how do they think we're like the dumbest fucking people in the world? Do they think that like things have gone well to the point where simply firing Brett is the answer to all this? Like, how can they look around the league and see how many teams have benefited from the Sixers' stupidity? Like the
new Kings.
The Clippers, benefiting from the Sixers overpaying for Tobias, so that the Clippers could then turn around and trade all those picks to Oklahoma City. So the Clippers in Oklahoma City. Boston, for us, getting swindled. I don't know about swindled as much as telegraphing the Matisse pick and then taking Horford off their hands.
And the fucking, and
obviously Tatum and Fultz, of course. Plus Miami for just being like, hey, you want to go to Miami? Here you go, pal. All you. There you are. We'll take a little Josh Richardson and we'll put him in the worst possible place to succeed. And there's probably more.
Minnesota did
Jeremy Grant having a good time in Denver, who Brian Colangelo just got there and decided to trade right away. Rashawn Holmes in Sacramento as a very formidable rim rolling center. There's like a ton of guys around the league that the Sixers had in their building, most of them under a lot of cost control, and just gave them right up for kind of, I would add, and I have to do this every podcast, the Pasechniks trade. Sixers trading up past where Kyle Kuzma and Josh Hart and Derek White, among many others, to take a guy who never played for the team. There's so many things, and and you don't have to know all of them even to just look at the Sixers right now. If you just like closed your eyes and like looked at this season, even not thinking about all the mistakes that were made individually, error after error after error, just looking at this right now and saying that we should keep the same guys in charge. The fact that the front office is going after Mike D'Antoni when Jerry Colangelo was brought in back when Hinkie was here. Jerry Colangelo's was his first move before Ish, or around the same time when he trades 2 second-round picks for Ish,
bring in Mike D'Antoni.
To bring in Mike D'Antoni as Brett's assistant, and like that's fine in that sense. Like I think D'Antoni was a good coach then. I thought that was a good idea. I think D'Antoni's a good coach now, and if he came here, that's fine. But the idea that all of the people who were here in the last 4 plus years, to fuck everything up and evaporate any real sense of goodwill that this team could have for what they've done, are still the ones making the decisions and following the path that was laid out then. And it's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable that whether it's Scott or Brian's minions or Jerry's dad still in the building somewhere. Unbelievable. It is remarkable that everyone in this front office, everyone that works for the team, is basically just Brian Colangelo in a mask.
It's pretty sad that he's like shadow running the team. It's pretty embarrassing. So that's what we think of the coach. You know, whatever. It's nice. It's a shame that Mike D'Antoni is associated with them. That makes me think less of him.
I read this is as far as Elton goes, like it always feels weird to like dump on Elton because he's a good guy. He came on a live show. He threatened to beat me up, all in good fun.
I'm not trying to dump on him. I've said over and over, I think like he has promise. It just, he was
set up to succeed. Yeah. And he was just surrounded by like vipers and shitheads and, a guy above him that just clearly wants to do his job and just, write books for self-help. Like imagine the worst person writing a self-help book.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And so there's this article, I forget what it is. I copied and pasted this. It was probably on The Athletic. Philadelphia remains intent on building and adding talent under Brand.
That's Shams.
To further, this is Shams. To further strengthen the front office. Brand is well respected by his peers across the NBA, agents, and basketball industry executives. In addition to leading the head coaching search, Brand is having the conversations with multiple NBA front office personnel to bolster his staff. For the 76ers, Brand continues to be the leader of basketball operations.
They're not going to fire anybody. Like I'm getting worried.
They'll fire like one person, or they'll give him like a parachute or something. It's just all so bizarre that in every single iteration of any article written, even when it's like Elton's the guy, buck stops here. It's like, and there's other guys that are kind of around, and he's the leader. Yeah, let's use like an amorphous term like leader.
Yes,
and it's like, well, he's still answering to a couple other people, and they're keeping an eye on him and all. It's like there's never a clear indication. It is just a horribly run organization from top to bottom. Because the owners, for whatever reason, are trusting Scott O'Neil with their life, with their money and their team and their reputation, and what an odd choice to make.
Before we get to some fun, I agree with all of it. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez is brought to you by Adam Kasabi, who is the official realtor of the process. Couple of good news things for you here, Mike. First of all, this came from Matt about Adam. He goes, here's the truth. Adam's guidance was invaluable when I was searching for a house. He's in Delaware, trash state. I went to UD, I know. I'm into New Jersey. He couldn't help me personally because I was looking in North Jersey, but he made an incredible recommendation for an agent in my area and a mortgage broker. I got a great house and an incredible mortgage rate, so without Adam, I would have been lost. P.S. Cut Carson Wentz. And then Adam told me yesterday he sold 2 homes, one at like almost $1 million, by the way, in Delaware at the beach to Ricky listeners in the last month, which is incredible. People are trusting Kasabi. That's the right thing to do. So if you're
buying $1 million homes from our sponsors, you need to give us some money.
Of the million, like
some of it.
A small. I guess that's what Adam does, though, right? I mean, he gives us part of the million.
That's true.
That's how it works. I think.
I want an envelope of cash like we're Tony Soprano from everybody who listens.
If you want to buy a house at the Delaware beaches, or maybe in Wilmington, maybe Adam can take care of you. Like even if it's not the beaches, Delaware beaches. Adam is your dude. ProcessRealtor.com. The mortgage rates are not the mortgage rates. The what's it called? The property tax is super low in Delaware, way better than Jersey Shore, and the mortgage rates are low. Or if you're looking outside of Delaware and you need a recommendation for a realtor, like Matt did, and a mortgage broker like Matt did, you talk to Adam Kasabi. He's going to take care of you. He's reaping the benefits of the Ricky Nation, and now you can go to no other realtor on the planet. Call him or text him, 302-864-8643. That is 302-864-8643. Or email adam@processrealtor.com. That is Adam Kasabi, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. So speaking of the Process Realtor, Sixers Adam did a mailbag this week because he's already mailing in his columns. And he said one of the things was somebody asked him to rank. Now, this almost seems impossible to say this, but he said, excluding health concerns, rank Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid. I'm curious to, now he ranked it very close, but ranked it Davis, Jokic, Embiid. I'm curious how you would rank it.
It's interesting. Jokic, and I would add Murray, obviously not in this category, but Jokic and Murray have done so much, and you can say Jimmy and all this stuff, have done so much in this current like postseason run to improve their stocks in a way that obviously the Sixers didn't have a chance to because they lost in a game and a half. AD is good. I've always thought he's a little bit overrated, and I obviously watch him a lot here. I think he's an excellent number 2. I think Anthony Davis is an absolutely excellent, elite second option to LeBron. Every time he's on the court and the offense runs through him, I always feel myself wanting more. It just doesn't seem quite right. Whether or not he's not like
he doesn't like have a
smartest
go-to,
offensive
really too. Like I don't even know what his game is besides versatile offensively. You know?
Yeah. And I mean he's excellent offensive rebounder, and he just like makes plays and like gets to the ball. There's a bunch of just like his length and anticipation is excellent. Obviously, we're talking about like the top 20 players in the league. These guys are all very good. I think AD is probably in the like 10 to 12 range, but it's different. Like I think with LeBron, he's the perfect guy to be next to LeBron. If I'm starting a team, I think I would put AD behind both of those guys.
Both of Embiid and Jokic, and then who is number 1 of those two?
It's tough. I mean, Embiid. We've seen different stuff out of Embiid. I would say it's probably unreasonable right now to not say Jokic. He's just looking really. He's incredible. The stuff he's doing is unbelievable. And his defense improved. He's obviously not a great defensive player. I think Embiid at his best is still the better player because of his. You can't stop him inside, and he also anchors your defense. Whereas Jokic, you kind of have to deal with his shortcomings. And so I always just prefer a guy that you can say, hey, you're not a liability anywhere, which with Joel Embiid's potential, that I think is who he'd be. But it's hard to ignore how, underwhelmed we've been with Joel at times in his career. And he has not he's not strung a full season together where he's just the guy that we think he is and can be. And certainly has never done it. Maybe last year was the year to do it in the playoffs when they were a plus billion with him on the court and a minus trillion with him off it. Certainly don't blame him for all the Sixers shortcomings by any means, but I mean the way Jokic is playing right now is unreal, and I would love for Embiid to be on this kind of run for sure.
It's sort of hard, to your point, to rank Embiid ahead of either of them currently, given how both of them look. And what's it called? I think there's something to what you said about AD being a number 2, in that if Embiid had an outstanding perimeter player on his team, then I think he would clearly look like the number 1 guy, honestly. Like if he was playing with a great perimeter player like Murray or LeBron, which he never has, and who knows when he will, it does take a lot of the offensive pressure off of him, and it would allow him, like you've talked about a bunch of times, to focus on defense. And I think he is obviously a way better player than Jokic, and I think actually could be a significant notch over AD at his best. The problem is he's not at his best enough now to rank him ahead of either of those guys. And
I agree with that.
And this isn't about ceiling; it's sort of about right now. And right now, it would just legitimately be hard to rank him above those guys.
And I think as far as people nationally, I think we'd probably be the only ones putting Embiid in that conversation right
Sure.
now, because we watch him the most and because we know what he's capable of. And I think there's a lot of recency bias. But they're really good and they're doing it at a high level. And Embiid hasn't been afforded that opportunity to. And some of that's been his fault and some of it's been the team's fault. And yeah, I mean, what was his tweet? You thought that people are acting like I got deported or something? It's interesting. I mean, I hope he takes this shit personally. Like I'm dying for everyone, the Sixers, to take it personally.
It's always so
for Embiid
fleeting, though, with him.
It is. Yeah. You're right. It's fleeting. We did get an Instagram of Tobias Harris in Napa drinking wine, tantalizingly close to what we want out of it. Want them all there at the same time, if you please. But I don't know. Everything's in such flux that
maybe there wasn't. Maybe Ben didn't go because there wasn't a ticket for Alex Subers to come along. So speaking of Embiid,
Subers runs the team.
Speaking of Embiid, so we asked you, for you, the listener, for 100 words or less on what the process means to you. And we have a pair of autographed Embiid ones, autographed by Joel. Embiid ones to give away. And we got hundreds of replies. And I would like to say that there were many that were actually really funny. There were several that were touching. There were about 12 people that filled out everything but the 100 words or less, that what the process meant to them. I admired the boldness of trying to enter the contest without it. But we have narrowed it down to three. Three contestants, and the Embiid ones are for sale right now from Under Armour, wherever you buy your sneakers or whatever. The three contestants are Jonathan, Devin, and Bobby. But instead of us reading their submissions, we got who else but Tony, and Tommy from down the shore to read their submissions. Please enjoy.
Okay, Devine says, what does process mean to you, okay? He says, process is about more than just basketball, okay? Process is about a community, okay? Working together, pulling each other forward, okay? It's about second chances, long shots, and getting up again. Division matters. Getting a shot at championship is a goal. But the process without hard work is just a very nice story. Putting it all on the line, looking your teammates in the eye and knowing yous were in it together. And that's the process. Process forever. And then Bobby goes, what does the process mean to you? Bobby goes, the process brought my father back to me and the Sixers. He gave up on me and the family after the Barkley trade. Well, after Doug Collins and Eddie Jordan ruined my life. He laughed at my Giants to Henke and thought Embiid would never get healthy. Well, fucking joke's on you, Dad. Then I brought him to a home game against the Pacers on November 11th. The Sixers were 0-7, okay? His deadbeat dad watched Embiid bully and eventually foul out Miles Turner, yelling, oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. The next morning, I called him watching Embiid's on YouTube's highlights on a laptop, which sounds maybe like, your dad got something else going on too, but that's cool. The process is joy, Bobby says. TTP, there you go. Yo, you guys are real winners. Yo, this is Tommy from down the shore, and here's Jonathan. When asked, what does the process mean to you? Here's what Jonathan had to say. The process is a movement. It's a way of life, a cultural phenomenon. It's the American dream. Start with nothing and try to end up on top of the world. The process is celebration. It's the best center in the league. It's a Turkish small forward hitting a game-winning three. It's championship aspirations. But the process is also heartbreak. It's a broken shot, a large collared trust fund child. It's confetti on a losing court. What is the process, you ask? It's more than just a sports team. The process is life.
There we go. So thank you, Tony T and Tommy. You can.
I really liked Alla Giants.
Yeah, Giants was great. YouTube's. If you go to rightstoRickySanchez.com/Embiid, rightstoRickySanchez.com/Embiid, you can vote. You have until Friday at midnight to get your vote in. And thank you to everybody who voted. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. And thank you to Tony T and Tommy for reading them for us. We are newsletter comes out tomorrow with Zoe, giving away more Zoe shirts. And we found out that everyone who picks up their Zoe shirt when you win them, rather than send it to you, you get one of these stateside glasses that they make from the bottom of the bottle, which is pretty dope. So thank you, Stateside, for that. So sign up for the newsletter at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. It is brought to you by Stateside Vodka, the #1 craft spirit, distilled 7 times, certified gluten-free, available in the 1.75 Magnum bottle at your local Fine & Wine and Good Spirits or statesidevodka.com. Please drink responsibly. What do you want to do here? Do you want to do relationship advice? Do you want to talk about standing or sitting while wiping? Where are we?
Well, I would love to remind people to register to vote.
Oh, you can do that.
I think that's important. The voter registration deadline in Pennsylvania is until, I think, mid-October, so you got plenty of time there. Make sure you're registered. Make sure your kids are registered if they're of age, or your little siblings, any of that stuff. Get them registered. It's good. Also, you've been seeing the naked ballot controversy in Philadelphia. People talking about it all over the state.
Oh, with the secret envelope and then the Magnum envelope around the secret envelope, and
yes, the secrecy envelope is 100% where the Sixers front office lives. That's all contained in there. But I will just say, I read the Inquirer story about it. You fill out your ballot, you fold it in half, Spike. You put your ballot in the secrecy envelope, which is also written on there, the official election ballot. Put the secrecy envelope, which now has your ballot in it, put that into the declaration envelope. And then that's what you sign and date and either send in the mail or drop off.
So it's funny. I'm going to vote in person. It's never a problem for me. So I'm going to vote in person. So I have not received it. I would hope that your ballot has like some sort of instructions as to
that does.
Okay.
But just so you know that, but just read the instructions carefully. People are very concerned about ballots getting rejected, which sucks, and it should not be this hard to vote. There shouldn't be any, like, if you write the wrong check mark, then your Scantron gets deleted. Like, it shouldn't be that. But this is the system. Election is upon us in some states. Early voting. Do it. Do your stuff up and down the ballot. Vote everywhere for everybody that you believe in, and make sure you're following the instructions.
Yeah.
I like following instructions.
Yeah, like, look, if it says how to do it on there, you should just follow how to do it. Like, you can even ignore what Mike said and just look what it says to do in the instructions and do that.
That's right.
So,
but just be mindful of, you don't have a naked ballot.
No naked ballots. No.
Don't be naked ballot.
No hanging
just
chads.
Be naked doing a podcast on the ground after a game in the dark. That's fine. Those are different things.
So I got a few requests from Grantland employees begging me to exonerate them from writing the email in the last pod about wiping, standing, or sitting up.
Wow.
I refuse to exonerate anyone, because the more people I eliminate, the more likely it becomes who it could be.
Sure. I just assumed it was Bill.
No comment. But Zach in Delaware wrote, he said, I can't believe this subject is my first email to you guys, but it's 2020, so maybe it's right on par. I'm a lifelong standing up to wipe guy. I just turned 30. I feel like it's the correct way to wipe, and this is this is why. Baby wipes. You must be using baby wipes. If you're not, I am judging you and think you're disgusting. You can wipe clean on the TP, but switch over to the baby wipes, and bam, you need 2 or more wipes. Now, here's why you need to stand.
I wipe with the regular and then finish with the cleanup one.
Dry it. Wait, you wipe with the regular? Okay.
Wipe with the regular, just fully situation with one. Get it all. Everything good. Nice little refreshing swipe, and that's that.
Zach says, now here's why you need to stand. The wipes are going to be positioned on the back of the toilet, not on the side like the TP is. You might be able to reach around, you say, but if you actually try to pull them out, you'll see they attach and they don't come out smoothly. You'll pull for one. Next thing you know, you have 5 in your hand, thus you need 2 hands.
It's an art form, but you don't need to stand up and air your duty spray out all over to the whole bathroom.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. In public restrooms where I don't have access to wipes, I'll squat straight up and wipe without standing and turn for that exact reason the previous email on the podcast said. But standing up to wipe is the only correct way to get the job done.
Ridiculous.
No.
You can reach behind you and grab without having to fully stand up. You're not like a sim.
It's honestly fucking insane. Just who can't grab something right behind them?
Or before you start the process,
move the thing to the side.
Move the thing to the ground next to you. Even
my brother has like an aftermarket bidet. It was like $50. I bought it on Amazon, but it doesn't fit like on my toilet, so I couldn't get it on there.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by a bidet. I haven't ever gone for
So
it.
I didn't know he had it. And I'm sitting on his toilet. He lives in Los Angeles. I'm sitting on his toilet. And there's this little knob to the right. And it's got like a knob and it goes blue all the way to like red. And I'm like, I wonder what this knob is. Let me tell you.
That's if you want to change the toilet bowl into blood. Yeah. Press this button.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Nature Pet Foods. The only one that you have to buy. We have so many Good Boy Club and Good Girl Club members. By Nature Pet Food is good because it's good for your pet. It is slow cooked, so it stays nutrient rich. This is not bullshit. This has really been proven. That's what they do. They cook it slower, so there's more nutrients in the food. So your pet gets more of the nutrients out of the food and your pet ends up healthier. Your dog, your cat, whatever. It's so healthy that they don't even delineate is the word. I always feel like I'm looking for the right word. There's no difference between like indoor cat, outdoor cat, adult dog, like small dog, whatever. Their pet food is so good, it is good for all of them, right? So it's slow cooked, premium ingredients like spinach and blueberries and ginger and coconut oil. The first ingredient is always the protein, premium proteins, and they've been in business 40 years and never had one recall. It's fucking amazing. Go to chewy.com, use promo code RTRS20. You'll get 20% off your first order of By Nature Pet Foods at chewy.com. Send us a picture with your dog or cat, with the pet food, with the By Nature. They go into the Good Boy Club, Good Girl Club gallery on rightstoRickySanchez.com. It's simply better for your pet. That's it. And you care about your pet. And like, you're talking a difference between, $5. Maybe it's $5 more, $6 more. Who knows? It's better for your pet. Get them the best. Get them By Nature Pet Foods, the official pet food of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. So Mike, there was an article on Hoops Hype this week, and it was Hoops Hype they surveyed 15 front office executives. 4 GMs, 5 scouts, 6 execs. They asked which players would, under 25 years old, 25 or under, would you start a team with? And you rank them 1 to 5. Ben Simmons came in 9th in their list. I would like to go with the players before him and see who you would take if you were to start a team. All right? Number 1 is Doncic. That's an obvious yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like defense.
Number 2, I get it. Doncic overrated, probably near his ceiling. Only shoots 30% from 3.
I'm definitely not willing to say that he's near his ceiling. The stuff he's doing from his age is
lost in the first round. Jason Tatum, number 2. Can I be honest with you for a sec? I would take Tatum over Giannis. If you made me pick a player right now, I would take Tatum.
Yeah, I think that's incorrect.
Mm-hmm. I can see why you would say that.
But Tatum or Simmons, I'd put it at a. If you're building the team around this person, first thing,
just the first player.
I'd go Simmons. I would
over Tatum.
I would. Yeah. Simmons is a better defender. He's better in the open court. He's a better passer. The thing that he's not better at is scoring in the half court.
Okay.
And I hate Tatum.
That's fair. That's fair. That's
100%.
fine. Okay.
I'm not saying it is a fully unbiased take.
Yep.
But I am saying it.
Number 3 was Devin Booker.
Again, like,
who you've never
I think
liked.
he had an excellent season and he's gotten better, but he's never made the playoffs as like the best player. He's like still youngish, but that's the kind of thing I look at, like AD also, right? Where AD was in New Orleans for like 7 years and got out of the first round once, and that's when he had him and Cousins like playing together as this like kind of weird twin tower type lineup. It's just like, it's tough to imagine that kind of person as your number one guy. Booker's obviously really, really good. And getting better as a passer and as an elite shot maker, all this stuff. But what else is he really like? He's good at offense. He's a bad defender. He's not that good in the open court.
I would just say for a wing player, offense is more important than defense. Defense is important, but like whatever. All right, so I'm yes. Number 4, Ja Morant.
No, I could go either way on Tatum or Booker, but no for Ja.
Number 5, I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I think I watched Ja Morant play 3 games this year, but
he's fun.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. He's a good passer. He's a really high IQ player, but no.
Donovan Mitchell.
No. Again, another guy that had a really excellent first round against Denver, a pretty bad Denver defense.
I would take Mitchell.
I would not take Mitchell, no.
Tied with Mitchell, Bam Adebayo.
I love Bam. Love the guy. But no, I would take Ben.
I would take Ben over Bam. I would take Ben over the next.
And what a huge like leap that Bam has taken. He wouldn't even be in this conversation yet. And so there's some things that just like I think people are very recency bias in anything all the time.
Zion Williamson.
I probably would have said Zion before the season, but I think it'd be a little ignorant to not be a little concerned.
He's going to be hurt all the time, man. And
Maybe.
Dude, how does he come back? He's so fat when they came back. He's got to lose 25 pounds.
Maybe. I still really, really, really believe in Zion, but I think you can't just fully ignore a season.
And then the last one before Ben was Jamal Murray.
Same thing. I mean, I think before this playoffs, it would have been like not a chance. Like, of course you put Ben first. Another guy who is like Ben is good at more things, but the thing that Jamal Murray is good at is seen at as more of a positive and more as not a positive, but more important to the kinds of basketball that people want to play. I think you can pretty credibly surround Ben Simmons with kinds of guys that do that more easily than you can surround Jamal Murray with kinds of guys that do what Ben Simmons does. But I've been absolutely very impressed with Jamal.
I would take Murray. And then Simmons was tied with Brandon Ingram.
Ridiculous.
And then ahead of Jaylen Brown, De'Aaron Fox, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Towns is interesting. I hadn't even seen that. Like,
he's a big who doesn't defend. I
believe in his ability to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm on an island with Towns. I think as an offensive player, he's like legitimately excellent. Like one of the top 5 offensive players in the league, and absolutely his defense is either lacking to the point of non-existence, but like there's no reason he shouldn't be good.
He's a little stumblier when he runs than you think he is when you watch him, though.
You think he has loser face? Probably.
He does have a loser face. He's a loser.
I would love to see them. This is not for you, but I would love to see them draft, whether it's trade down or whatever, draft Onyeka Okongwu from SC and play them as a 4-5, so Towns doesn't have the responsibility of like anchoring a defense, and so that he can just focus on what he's good at and maybe just like it's tough because I do think he's a talented player, but I don't know what it's going to take for him at this point. He's 5 years into his career. Time to play defense, bro.
Well, he's with Ben in the Scared of Jimmy club. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Why would I get why Towns would be, but why would Ben be scared of Jimmy?
He is. He didn't like his text message. That was the report. He didn't like his text message from Jimmy.
You can not like a guy and not be scared of him.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't want Subers taken. I'm sorry. There was an Instagram of like Ben's wrist and finger showing like all of these like diamonds or whatever, and the photo was obviously just taken by Subers in the backseat of the car. And I just think to myself, what the fuck is Subers doing? Just taking pictures of Ben from behind in the car.
It's a good gig. I would do it.
And I would take Jaylen Brown. I would take Jaylen Brown over Ben.
No, I wouldn't. I love Jaylen, but I wouldn't. I love how you're on either side of the Ben or Jimmy debate. If I picked one, you would be on the other one. For you, it's just like both guys are bad. You don't want any part of either of them. You just want to totally attack
sever relationships. Yeah. We got an outstanding. We've been getting a lot of relationship advice questions. We're heading into the off season, so I figured it could be sort of regular. So. This is going to be from Anonymous. So if you want to send us a relationship advice question, send it to writesrickysanchez@gmail.com. Relationship advice. Our song, of course, comes from the Ricky's very own Eliza Hardy-Jones.
I keep my heart under my pillow with my teeth and other lies. I've been waiting on your halo just to shine the light.
That comes from her album Because Become. This is a sad one. 5 years ago, I watched the love of my life pass away. I never believed in soulmates until I met her. When I describe her to people who have not met her, she always sounds so unreal. She was the kindest person imaginable. She never got angry at anyone, would often try to talk to people. She was the definition of charisma in college, as she was courted by a lot of guys and even women. She had a lot of friends and made every conversation seem like you were the most important person in the world at that moment. She played in a lot of bands and taught herself to play guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards. She was a skater. She was a basketball and pro wrestling nerd. She wanted to become a lawyer / pastor / missionary. I've never loved a person as much as I loved her. Love doesn't even begin to describe what I felt about her. There aren't enough words in any language to describe what I feel. Love is only the shadow of how I feel. And here we are 5 years later, and I'm still struggling. I've been in 3 relationships that ended terribly. I got cheated on twice and recently got dumped with the "it's not you, it's me" reason for being dumped. I try my best every time I'm in a relationship. Why half-ass anything, right? How do you move on from this? I kept my feelings for her separate in the relationships I've had. I don't mention her at all unless they ask about her. It has been nothing but pain and misery this year, compounded by my government's ineptitude with dealing with the pandemic. I'm from the Philippines. Taking care of my family, dealing with loss, and this recent breakup, and the Sixers fucking it up. I don't know if you'll read this during the pod, but if you don't, I want you all to know how thankful I am. So, boy, the way you describe her, I also don't believe she actually existed like that. That seems unbelievable. This is a tough one. What I would say, this is my point of view, is that I don't know how old you are. You seem young the way you wrote it. You were probably lucky to find a person that you considered your soulmate that young. And what I always like to tell people is that even if you find somebody that you get married to and you love them and you're married for them for the rest of your life, like, it was probably like, I don't know, your 8th relationship or your 5th relationship or your 12th relationship. Most relationships end badly, even if you end up in a great one. So you're just doing it sort of in the reverse order. And I would just say that like the percentages like lead you to believe that more of them are not going to work out than they do. And to me, that's a reason to keep looking, because you realize that it's sort of like a numbers game to a certain point. Doesn't mean that I should say you should date 10 people at once. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like, it takes, like, most people aren't perfect matches and most people aren't matches at all. So the fact that like 3 haven't worked out, especially following somebody that you love so much, is not really all that surprising to me. So I would just say keep at it. That would be my advice.
Man, I'm just sorry that this happened. That's tough.
Yeah.
It feels really sad, and she seems great, and you seem like a great guy, and I'm sorry that all this happened.
Oh man.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never dealt with that kind of grief. That feels really, really hard.
Well, I mean, it seems like you, the writer, are like, have tried to get back into it. So I would tell you that, like, don't stop trying. That would be my recommendation. On to the normal mailbag. writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Sixers question. With Billy Donovan now the coach of the Bulls, I could see him potentially wanting Horford, who he's won titles with in college as a culture guy and starting center. I doubt we could get Levine in a deal built around Al, but would you trade Al for Thad and Satoransky? Thad is kind of another power forward, so not a great fit, and defensively he would help against big athletic wings. He's a 20 to 25 minute a game guy. I don't think we would need to attach anything more than a second round pick to get off Al. Satoransky would be a helpful piece. He's probably better than Shake.
I mean, look, you love Thad, but he would be so unhelpful on this team. Just to add to the like sort of slop of guys, it wouldn't be bad to have another like sort of versatile defensive forward, although he's probably running out of usefulness at his age. Satoransky's good. I like Satoransky. I don't think I'd trade Al for Satoransky. And I don't know that Billy Donovan is like, I want the guy that I used to coach.
Yeah,
I coached a lot of guys.
Yeah, that part of it I don't agree with, but I would trade Al for Satoransky and Thad. I mean, it's just you could run Thad in center minutes as much as you're going to run Al, and you get Satoransky, who's a playable guard. Do you
think you can put Thad in at center as much as you put Al at center?
Well, I mean, we don't have that many Al minutes in a positive world, I guess. Like
yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some amount of games, 10, 20, 30, that Embiid sits. And so it'd be nice to not lose those games and have to do the same dance that we did when, Greg Monroe was starting playoff games for us. I
got to tell you, I think you have to, if you're keeping Embiid, I think you have to get off of Horford.
Maybe. I don't know enough to, I think that's an unknowable question unless you talk to Joel. If the team is talking to Joel and being like, hey, you are the guy, you and Ben are our guys. We want you to take ownership of this team. Like, what can we do to help you more? We didn't do a good job of it last year. And I hope they're having that conversation, and I do not trust them that they are.
I don't think
one of those things he's like, I can't play with Al, or get out of whatever, give me more guards, trade anybody for it. I don't care. I mean, you don't take you don't like do whatever he says, but like you want, we're going to do the best to surround him with the kinds of players that he wants to be around. Because and maybe I'm getting radicalized by Dietrich, but 3 out of the 4 lineups with those 4 guys of Tobias, Horford, Simmons, Embiid.
You got to stop.
3 out of the 4 of those guys.
You got to stop following Dietrich. I got.
But 3 out of the 4 of those guys, the numbers bear out to be that's doable, and they just need more. It can't be Josh. They have to have numbers that they can guards that can shoot and dribble and play and all that stuff. But all 4 of them is tough, and it's just look, that's bad, but there is some level of just trading. I think you can get a Satoransky type guy without also once again opening up backup center as an issue.
I gotta say, I'm glad that Ben is supporting Basketball Reference by paying his monthly fee to them, but he doesn't watch the Sixers, and all he does is whatever everyone is saying. He says, he has enough. He couches everything. We
gotta have Ben on the podcast.
What's that?
We got to bring Ben on the podcast.
No, he's not coming back on. No, he's
we got to talk to him. We got to get into this. We got to know what his mindset is. We got to really delve into the brain.
He's a faker. I will not let him on the podcast unless he admits he's a faker. He's playing a game all the time, and I just it's only 75 people who are brainwashed by his toxicity, but you cannot be brainwashed by him. He's playing a game. His whole bit for an entire year was that shooting is for old people. That's a bit. It's not a real thing. Shooting is the only thing that matters. It's basketball.
It's not the only thing that matters. That's crazy. I think that there is a balance to a lot of things, and you can have guys who do certain things. The Sixers clearly didn't have enough guys who could do certain things this season. Too many guys that could do
Name one effective player in the NBA who is not who is a starter, who is not a rim protector, who can't shoot, who doesn't shoot.
I mean, Draymond.
But he does. He does shoot.
He doesn't. Not really. He shot like 28%. He was like very unwilling in the past few years to take those shots.
But he does.
I'm not saying I don't want Ben.
And he's
I'm
a rim
not saying I don't want
protector.
Ben to
He's a
shoot.
rim protector. He's a rim protector. You can play him at center. You can't play Ben at center. It's not like it's like the whole thing's fucking goofy. I'm just saying. I respect a bit as much as anybody, but to see you fall for the bit is sad for me.
It's not. There are like, it's not only one thing. Like there can be multiple things happening at a time when you're like, yes, people, like if you surround Ben with guys who can do other things, then his skills are enhanced. And if you surround him with clunky, slow shooting, 2005 Carmelo Anthony's, then it's going to be harder for him to succeed. I think those can also be the issue. And we know, I do think that like there's some level of.
He said that shooting has nothing to do with floor spacing. Like he has said that multiple times.
Let's bring him on the podcast and talk about it.
No,
I like how fired up you get. I'm the one that usually gets fired up.
No, he's a phony. I'm not like he's a cartoon. I'm not debating with a fucking.
Didn't we sell Ben Dietrich shirts?
We did, and I'm embarrassed by it. Like I'm embarrassed by the whole thing. Like I'll tell you, you go on his website and buy his $50 T-shirts. That are probably low rent Hanes 100% cotton T-shirts. I don't know because I've never bought one. And you can wear it proudly and just know that you are gamed by a guy who's fucking with you. Like everyone, just know he's fucking with you. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by presenting sponsor DraftKings Sportsbook, who's not fucking with you. They would never fuck with you. They're totally legit. Week 2 in the books for football. Really, for us personally, week 2, not any better than week 1. But if you want to actually have some fun with football, you go to DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. We are, the Philly football team, is down to 5-point favorite over Cincinnati. Opened up at 6 or 6.5. Jalen Reagor out for like 6 weeks. Not great. Anyway, they have a really great deal for you. All new users turn $1 into $100. You bet on any team and you win. You get 100-to-1 odds. If you're a new user, you do a $1 bet on any team. They will give you 100-to-1 odds. You win $100. By the way, same offer. If you don't want to bet on football, MMA, UFC 253, you bet on anyone, $1, you get 100-to-1 odds. There you go. And you can bet on the rest of the NBA playoffs. I haven't looked at the championship odds in a while. Let's see. Team futures. Lakers are minus 300 to win the championship, followed by the Heat at plus 550, the Celtics at plus 700, and the Nuggets at plus 1800. Look, easy to deposit, easy to withdraw. All right here in the country, like you deposit, the money's in there in 2 seconds. I usually do it from PayPal. You can do it from credit cards, or you can withdraw. It's there like in 24 hours. It's awesome. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS when you sign up. You get the 100-to-1 odds. Pick any team during week 3, bet $1 on them, win $100. That's $1 to win 100 when you use promo code RTRS during sign up for a limited time. For new users at DraftKings Sportsbook, must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm embarrassed that I got that mad about the Dietrich thing. Now, I want to cut it out of the pod. I'm not going to, but I'm just saying. And his non-Sixers question, getting back to the wiping ass debate, it can be done sitting and standing. Sitting is the primary wiping position, but sometimes when you stand up after wiping a poop, you have to pee a little more. Then after you pee, one last wipe while standing to make sure all is clean, especially after a sloppy poop. Not all the pee comes out when you're sitting down, right? Sometimes it does, maybe 40%, the same rate as a Hollis 3. Like none of this is a good idea. From Steve in South Jersey, basketball question. No one should want to trade Embiid. I don't want to trade Embiid, but is there a reason to fear that his defensive value is on the decline because of the evolution of NBA offenses, namely high pick and rolls over 25 feet from the basket? As guys get more comfortable launching longer and longer three-pointers, it seems like Embiid is going to have two options, neither of which he's ever been good at: scrambling to hedge on pick and rolls beyond the three-point line, or watching a parade of Kemba's, Jason's, Kyrie's launch three-pointers over his head while he protects the lane. It's a fair response, I guess. I guess I would just say that, to your point, he's so good at defense. If a team can survive, if a team can be in the Western Conference Finals with Jokic on the floor, I just think Embiid's defensive value is such that I don't think it's prohibitive. And I don't think the league can evolve to be much smaller than it is, would be my guess. And I don't know who wrote the article. I just saw the tweet, but somebody, or maybe it was just a tweet. Somebody said it's not that the big man is not effective in the NBA anymore. It's just that everyone has to be able to shoot, pass, and dribble. And if you can do those three things, you can stay in the league. And Embiid can do those three things. I don't think his defensive value will become too much less than it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. You're seeing a lot of teams drop pick and roll and how to defend those guys, and do you help off of shooters, and then you're leaving. Teams are so good at getting pretty easy, wide open corner threes. And it's always very frustrating when you're seeing one simple action, a pick and roll, becomes such a problem that they can just really easily get wide open threes. And then watching the Sixers, and it's they just can't get any of those shots, any easy looks, anything. And so the ideal, and this is interesting to the D'Antoni point, I prefer to just switch. That'd be my preference. I think that there are very few guys in the league who can beat you down low if they're switched onto a smaller guy. Embiid is obviously one. Jokic is one. Sometimes you have to help. But and a lot of teams are really good at getting back. I think Boston and Toronto and Miami are really good at recovering and that kind of thing. My thing is, if I was the defensive coordinator that Brett always has, I would make it, hey, let's never give anyone an open shot. Let's make everything as contested. And so in my mind, it's sometimes that's going to end up in Mike Muscala covering Dame Lillard on the perimeter. But I think that is, I'd rather have a contested shot the way Houston does it, just switching everything, than I would giving up easy looks, whether that's at the rim or in the corner or whatever it is. And so Embiid is interesting. I think he's certainly capable of defending guards. We've seen him do that. We've seen him be able to switch onto it. I think over the last year or two, Brett diagrammed the defense so that he wouldn't have to, for the most part. I would love to see him get in better shape and be able to do that. And maybe there's times where you change it where you're okay, we're switching 1 through 4 and Embiid's going to drop, and maybe somebody helps or digs, or he even just shows a little bit. Jokic does that, right? Jokic isn't the rim protector that Embiid is, so you're not trying to funnel people to Jokic. But Jokic does at least get in the way of the ball handler, so it's not simply a room service 19-footer that Kemba Walker can walk into, because that does. I mean, it's not the shot you're trying to diagram your offense for if you're Boston or any other team stepping into 19-footers. But if you have someone who's just capable and comfortable, that becomes a demoralizing shot for your defense. And so I would love to see the next coach play with that a little bit more, so it's not just the same thing every time.
I agree with you. I've begun to think that the big on the perimeter versus the guard is less of a mismatch sometimes than it seems. As long as you switch right away and just get the guy on him, it seems like the trouble is not switching right away when you have a big that is a little unsure of what to do, or they don't commit right away. I'll take Embiid on Kyle Lowry on the perimeter and just let Lowry shoot, because that's what he's probably going to do. He's probably going to dribble, and then shoot a three that somebody like Embiid is tall enough and has enough length to go and contest than otherwise. So I think I'm with you with that. I think there's not that many. Now look, when it is Lillard or Steph Curry or one of the Chris Paul, one of the 6 best guards in the league, you're fucked. But you're probably fucked whoever's guarding them anyway. So I would agree with you on that defensive question. Non-basketball question. Mike seems to love dining indoors during COVID. If he had Josh Harris, obviously sarcastic, if he had Josh Harris money, what kind of restaurant would he open in Philly? And would he consider hiring the chefs that he got fired from the Sixers facility in Camden? So if you could open any kind of restaurant, let's say in the perfect world, what kind of restaurant would it be?
I've never thought about it. No, I've never thought about it. I think I'd probably do like a sort of the kind of restaurants where there's like 18 pages on the menu.
Oh, a diner.
You can just get everything.
I think they're called diners. Or
yeah, like a diner, but also with like weirdly, like, you know, here's Pakistani food, and then here's some, you know, Peruvian delights. Just everything all in one.
I would open a breakfast place. I always wanted.
That sounds good.
But I remember when I went to Ocean City with my wife for the first time, and she was like, "We got to go to Uncle Bill's Pancake House." And we went there. It was just like normal breakfast, and it was like 2 people. It was like $46. I was like, "Fuck this! I could do way better than this." I would love to open a breakfast place down the shore. Last one. This is from Bill. I do not recall Victor Oladipo ever being discussed as a realistic trade candidate. On the surface, he may seem unattainable without giving up Simmons or Embiid, but there's constantly been speculation about him leaving over the past year. He has 1 year left on his deal before becoming an unrestricted free agent. If Indiana is convinced that he's leaving or that he's not the same player, he may have lesser value than people think. Prior to the 18-19 season, people thought Minnesota would laugh at Covington, Bayless, Sarge, and a second for Butler, but his impending free agency caused a smaller market. So basically, what are your thoughts on the feasibility of acquiring Oladipo? I don't think we could get him without trading. Like, I don't even think the salaries, he's making like $30 million, I think. I don't know how you trade for him without trading Simmons or like they're not going to take Horford or Harris for him. So I don't know how you get to $30 million. Would you trade like Richardson and a bunch of junk in the OKC pick for him? I don't even know why they would do that. I love Oladipo.
I think they could probably get a better situation.
Would you trade Simmons for him? No. Yeah. And then for my non-basketball and more important question, I guess this is obviously to me. You mentioned on Twitter that Sap was 1 or 2 songs away from being better than Jar of Flies. Therefore, I must know, what is your ranking of Alice in Chains albums/EPs? The correct answer is Dirt, Facelift, Jar of Flies, Sap, and then Alice self-titled, and then everything else. I would go Jar of Flies, Sap, Facelift, Dirt, and then everything else. That's mine. I bet you don't have Alice in Chains rankings. That would be mine. No. Yeah. Alice in Chains, great band. Rest in peace, Lane Staley. Any thoughts about Scott O'Neal before we go?
I think we covered it. I would say, you know, because this is relevant to the NBA bubble and the actions of the league and the players and them doing what they can to bring attention to all the many injustices and police violence in this country, that Breonna Taylor's grand jury came back in Louisville, and they only indicted one of the 3 officers who killed her, and they indicted him not for killing her, but just kind of for randomly shooting into homes recklessly. And people are pissed off, and so we might see some more action from the players. I don't know. I haven't been looking, but it's certainly disappointing and disheartening, and you shouldn't be able to just like kill people with no repercussions. And so I feel for people in the Louisville community and for her family and everybody that has to deal with this all the time. It's a really sad situation.
That is not about Scott O'Neal, but I'm not laughing at what you said. Obviously, what you said was serious. I was just
we already covered Scott. I thought we did that. I thought we hit our quota.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. All right, we'll talk to you this weekend. Vote for the winner of the and if you want to re-listen to Tony T and Tommy, I put the audio of them reading the entries up on the site. So go to rightsrickysanchez.com/Embiid. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you. If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
if you don't fuck with me,
Then I won't fuck with you.
but if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!